imperial shrine world of Aurea's fate has gone silent. All astrotelepathic communication from the planet ceased abruptly 18 months ago. A strike force of blood angels led by Lord Commander Dante has been dispatched to restore contact with the distant planet. The Sons of Sanguinius translate from the warp to find a stricken world. Scans show all the usual sign of major conflict: dead cities, crumbling fortresses, and the burnt-out hull of countless war machines. All the usual signs of conflict, that is, except one. There are no bodies, no corpses or combatants, no refugees, no sign that this was ever a thriving imperial shrine world, the last resting place of Saint Aurea. Silence reigns on Aurea's fate. Commander Dante leads a force to investigate. Thunderhawks and drop pods roar out of the sky towards the shrine of Aurea, a vast city built around the Saint's mausoleum. Whilst the drop zone is being secured, scouting parties spread out to determine the fate of the world's inhabitants. Scout Sergeant Moro of the 10th Company leads his neophytes to investigate a weak heat signal coming from the south of the city.
Welcome back to Rapid Fire Wargaming. As you might have guessed from that narrative intro, we've got something a little bit different planned for you today. This is going to be the first episode of a multi-part narrative campaign centred around the shrine world of Aurea's fate. It's going to be some kill team missions. Kill team is like a little skirmish game from GW, if people don't know at home, where you have like smaller squads of soldiers and they're running around completing special ops kind of missions.
Yep.
But the idea is then at the end of those kill team missions, we're going to do a massive narrative battle in traditional 40k. And the interesting thing will be these kill team missions will directly affect the outcome of that narrative battle. For example, we might be fighting over a comms relay in kill team, and that will give us some orbital bombardments to use in the narrative battle in 40k. So that's basically the idea. This is the first mission today you're going to see. It's the Sons of Sanguinius, as you saw from the intro, versus an unknown assailant. We're going to find out who it is. Ooh.
Moro leads his squad deep into the abandoned manufactorum. The neophytes leave their transport and proceed on foot. Silence and the smell of death follows the squad into a maze of rusting containers and abandoned munitions.
Movement, Sergeant.
Enemy contact?
Negative, Sergeant. Imperial citizens. Except... wait. They're dead, Sergeant. All dead. Dead, but walking.
This foul heresy reeks of the 14th Legion, Emperor damn them. The Death Guard are on this world. The Lord Commander must be informed.
Fox is down, Sergeant. It's being blocked somehow.
Carve a path back to the transports. For Sanguinius!
Ooh, so...
Death Guard.
The hated.
A new Death Guard army.
New Death Guard army for the channel. Garfield's been got this beautiful army, and we wanted an excuse to use it. And so they are going to be facing the Sons of Sanguinius.
Yeah.
They're going to be fighting over Aurea's shrine and just trying to nurgle it up a bit.
They are trying to sort of be the vanguard of an invasion fleet coming from a very naughty boy.
Yeah, exactly. So this first mission, we will be playing a kill team narrative mission, which basically will determine who has the initiative in the final narrative battle, 40k battle, who will decide who goes first and who goes second. That's the plan.
That's the plan.
And in this mission, as you've seen, the Blood Angel neophytes, the 10th Company, the Scouts, are going to have to fight their way back through a bunch of poxwalkers in order to get to their transport, so that they can send a message to Commander Dante to say, watch out, Stinky Boy's about.
That's it, yeah. So the Poxwalkers are led by a Poxwalker Prime.
Oh.
And it's all in just a name.
Exactly.
So he just looks like a leader. He's not got any other stats.
He's got a cool coat.
He's got a nice commanding coat.
Yeah.
That's it.
A good coat can do a lot.
Exactly, yeah.
So Kill Team, I think we touched on this, but basically it's a four-turn skirmish game. It's alternative activations. So we're going to try a different way of filming today. We're going to use a top-down camera to record the action and the turning points, which we'll narrate over. We'll have end-of-turn summaries to say what's going on. And the goal of this mission is for the neophytes to come from one side of the board to the other and complete an action back at their Rhino transport.
To send a signal to some other Blood Angels.
Exactly.
To let them know.
To the HQ.
To let them know that they found a Poxwalker infestation.
Exactly.
And, things are about to get
the population of Aurea's fate have just been turned into zombies, basically.
They have, yeah.
So, okay. Without further ado, here is deployment and sort of a little intro.
Yeah. And the battlefield and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And then the first turning point. Okay, so we've spread out our forces for this narrative battle. Death Guard players who know about kilting will know you can't usually take 16 Boxwalkers at once. Usually you have 8 of them with a few Plague Marines as well. But because this is a narrative game, we can do whatever we like, can't we, Mr. Garfield?
You can. You've stumbled across the nest.
Exactly. The Sergeant Moro and his squad are over here at this end, and their goal is to fight their way through a horde of zombies, get back to their transport back here at the back, and then boop the comms sort of Vox, long-range Vox over there in order to send out a message to Commander Dante. So the win conditions for this particular narrative battle are that if a Blood Angel operative manages to perform an action right here back at the Rhino before the end of the 4th battle round, then the Blood Angels win. If the Poxwalkers stop us, then they win.
I win.
Exactly.
I think Tom's got a bit of an uphill struggle, but I'm not going to sort of nest around that. With mindless zombies, we'll be steaming forward and trying to eat his brains.
Exactly. Just to add a bit more fun as well, have you ever played a video game that didn't involve red barrels that could be blown up?
Red spells danger.
Exactly. So these red barrels here, we have got a special rule. If they get hit and damaged by a weapon, then they explode, and everything within circle, which is 2 inches, takes D6 mortal wounds. D6 mortal wounds sounds like a lot, doesn't it, Mr. Garfield?
It does sound a lot.
But this isn't 40k. Poxwalkers don't have a single wound here.
They've got 7.
They have 7 wounds.
7 and 5 up, feel no pain.
Exactly.
So when Tom gets near them, I'm going to kamikaze a Poxwalker straight into one and just blow everything up. Even if it kills my own people, I don't care. It's cool.
It sounds glorious. Okay, so I start with 3 command points, as does Garfield, because again, usually you'd need a leader in your kill team to get 2 extra command points at the beginning of the battle, but it's narrative and we can do what we like. So
yeah, my Poxwalker Prime is my leader.
Exactly, Mr. Trenchcoat. Where's he at? Oh, there he is.
He's in the middle there.
Out the front.
He's in the middle. He's leading
in the charge.
You do get clever zombies in films nowadays, don't you?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
he's got a bit of a brain in him.
Exactly. These are a bit more DayZ kind of zombies, aren't they? Than the sort of
yeah, these are World War Z. World War Z zombies as opposed to Walking Dead. Yeah,
they can run and dash and can get pretty far.
They can.
So that's cool. Yeah, so we basically have 3 CP each to use on stratagems. There's 2 types of stratagems in Kill Team. There is strategic ploys and tactical ploys. Tactical ploys are like 40k stratagems that you use during the battle, and strategic ploys you use at the beginning of turning points.
That's right, and the Death Guard ones usually only apply to Plague Marines, but there is one which allows me to sort of spread a contagion, which slows the scouts down.
Exactly.
So hopefully I'll be able to use that before all my Poxwalkers die.
Yeah, so I'm using the strategic ploy tactical precision, which allows anyone close to my Sergeant Moro, to re-roll one of their attack dice if they're close to him when they activate. So that's what I'm declaring, and I don't know if you're declaring any strategic ploys?
No, I'm not declaring any.
Okay.
Because I can't.
So with that said...
Because Poxwalkers are mindless, so they can't really do much.
Can't do a huge amount. They can't do actions.
But they can be dangerous if they get close to you. So.
Yeah, they'll gnaw off your ankles if you're not watching.
They will.
So we're going to also roll for initiative, I think. That's something we can do.
In the brand new RFW dice tray.
Isn't it glorious? It's extremely bouncy though, so the dice tend to fly out. Okay, so initiative roll off. Whoever gets the highest can choose to go first or second.
There you go.
There you go. All right, so it looks like I am taking the first activation in turning point 1.
Pre-game, Danvers spends 3 equipment points on each of his heavy weapons, which allows him to move and still shoot. The first operative to activate is Sergeant Moro, who clambers on top of the crates, giving him a vantage point, allowing him to shoot at Poxwalkers even if they have a conceal order. Sergeant Moro hits on 2s, and his first target is a red barrel next to 2 Poxwalkers. He hits the barrel, it explodes, and it does 2 mortal wounds to the first Poxwalker, and only a single one to the second. Garfield then activates 2 Poxwalkers and dashes them round behind the crates. The next neophyte to activate is a scout. It does one move action to get up on top of the crates, and then because it has a suspense system, it can also fire his sniper rifle, which hits on 2s. He can reroll 1 miss because of tactical precision from the sergeant. He gets 4 normal hits. Garfield has to make 9 disgustingly resilient saves. It's not enough to save the first Poxwalker. Two more Poxwalkers activate and dash into the centre of the manufactorum. Next up, Danvers activates a scout with a shotgun, who charges forward screaming Sanguinius' name, and takes out his anger with his shotgun on a barrel. He hits, it explodes, does 5 mortal wounds to the first, some of which are saved by Disgusting and Resilient, and then only 3 on the second. So Disgusting and Resilient is a 5-up feel no pain against wounds. It's a Death Guard special rule. Two more Poxwalkers charge into the manufactorum from the entrance. Danvers moves up his heavy weapon scout with a heavy bolter into a firing position. Takes aim on the injured Poxwalker near the entrance to the manufactorum. Gets 4 normal hits and a critical, which does a huge amount of damage. Garfield doesn't even bother rolling his Feel No Pains. The Poxwalker's removed from play. Two more Poxwalkers leap forward into cover behind crates in the centre of the manufactorum. Danvers activates his final sniper scout. He's too far away to be able to move and shoot, so he moves and dashes into position to be able to put down covering fire next turning point. Two more Poxwalkers leap into the manufactorum. Another scout with a shotgun charges forwards and unloads on the Poxwalkers in the centre of the battlefield. Some more good shooting from Danvers. And some good, disgustingly resilient saves fail to keep the Poxwalker alive. Another pair of zombies skulk in the shadows behind the doors to the manufactorum, and more scouts charge forwards. Another pair of Poxwalkers move into position behind the barricades near the entrance to the manufactorum. And a scout with a bolter leaps on top of the pipe crate and fires down, doing 2 more critical hits and a normal hit. Garfield retains a single normal hit and saves one of the criticals. Still takes 4 damage, and that's enough to take a few more wounds off the Poxwalker in the centre of the manufactorum. Another pair of Poxwalkers charge through the front door of the manufactorum, take up position behind the barricades. Another scout is moved forward to provide covering fire, and the last scout is left back to shoot into the Poxwalker in the centre of the battlefield. He gets 2 critical hits and a normal hit. Garfield retains 1 of the hits for the cover, but the Disgusting Resilient saves don't save him.
end of turning point 1. Sergeant Moro and his scout have stormed back towards their transport. They picked off a few of the poxwalkers that they could see that weren't skulking around in the shadows. They blew up some barrels, and it's gone all right so far.
Yeah, them barrels did a lot of work.
Yeah,
there's some crack shooting from your scouts there as well. Really good.
Yeah, so a few things like there's, well, I mean, you'd have heard in the summary, but the people got up here, a couple of sniper scouts to get vantage point, and so they can shoot down at the enemy. The poxwalkers are rushed into the base. A few of them have slunk around the back here, over by this
the blue and brown containers.
Exactly, and that's about it. I don't think there's anything else to say, really.
Yeah, you've got 3 more turns to go for that rhino, so
exactly.
It could be a bit. I mean, you might have to forego some of this shooting to get down there.
Exactly, yeah, I might have to start sprinting out there.
See how it goes. Yeah, so I brought all my poxwalkers out. They all charged out gloriously, like the heroes that they are, and I've concealed as many as I can to try and sort of mitigate my losses early on. As Tom said, there's 2 behind the blue and brown craters over here, just skulking away for maybe a late turn sort of ambush. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so without further ado, we can go on to the initiative phase of turning point 2. We need a roll off. Because I had the initiative last turn, if we get ties, then you get the initiative this turn.
That's correct. Oh, 4. Seen it beaten.
There it is.
Beaten. There's a 5.
So Garfield will be activating his poxwalkers first in the next turning point. Before we go any further, I'm going to spend another CP on tactical precision one more time. There's a much better tactical ploy called bolter discipline for Space Marines, but unfortunately the scouts don't get it because they are just young neophytes. So this basically means that anything standing next to my sergeant can re-roll one of its attack dice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's it.
It's turning point 2. Garfield activates a couple of poxwalkers on the left flank. They move up behind the crates. Danvers activates Sergeant Moro, who shoots into a poxwalker out in the open. Six damage goes through. And the poxwalker shrugs a few of them. A poxwalker rushes up with 1 remaining HP. Second of his 2 activations is the poxwalker that was next to the first one. It moves into the centre of the manufactorum. We remembered to increase our command points by 1. One of the snipers activates and takes a shot at the poxwalker by the entrance to the manufactorum. It takes some more wounds off the poxwalker, but fails to kill it. Garfield then activates another set of poxwalkers in the middle of the board. They move up to the barricade. The other sniper takes a shot at the poxwalker by the manufactorum door and does a large amount of damage, including a few critical hits which translate to mortal wounds. The poxwalkers hiding behind the crates activate. They just sort of stay put. Scout in the centre moves forwards. Cover doesn't apply if the shooting operative is close to the target operative. 3 hits and 1 critical hit. It kills the Poxwalker, and Tom doesn't even bother with his disgusting resilient saves. More Poxwalkers charge towards the Blood Angel scouts. Some getting in cover, some out in the open. The backfield holding scout opens up into one of the injured Poxwalkers, doing a critical wound and 2 normal wounds. Garfield rolls some disgustingly resilient saves, but it's not enough to keep the Poxwalker alive. More Poxwalkers edge forwards to hold the pathway up to the manufactorum door. One of the scouts, screaming Sanguinius' name, makes a charge. He makes a single hit. Garfield does much better with a crit and normal hit. The scout parries 1 damage, but then takes 3 in return. Another scout charges the Poxwalker in the centre. It applies some critical damage, which is shrugged to a certain extent by the Poxwalker. In return, he also takes damage. Parries another blow, but then takes more damage. And does 3 in return. The scout on the storm drain fires into the Poxwalker out in the open, doing 9 damage. There's only 1 wound remaining, so Garfield removes the model. More scouts move up, getting ready to push towards the doorway. Garfield has no more activation, so Danvers continues to activate scouts, moving them up.
So, end of turning point 2.
It's getting pretty nip and tuck already.
Yeah.
A pretty brutal shooting from Tom, turn 1. Maybe he should have pegged it forward a little bit more. Who knows? I'm no tactical genius.
So we've got 2 more turning points, haven't we, for me to get from where I am here.
From here to here. Which is doable.
So Garfield pointed out that I needed to start sprinting up the board, otherwise things were going to go badly. I've taken my pound of rotting flesh by killing a few more Poxwalkers, but it's just going to be a case of whether he can slow me down. We're coming into turning point 3 now. We're going to do strategic ploys, and there is a handy one that you've discovered, isn't there?
Yes, so my strategic ploy is called Contagion. So everything within 2 inches, which is a circle on the gauge, you get the kill team, is basically treats an operative as injured, which means it affects their ballistic skill and ballistic skill and movement. But in this example, it only affects their movement. So if Tom can fight his way out of combat and then move, obviously the contagion will not then apply because he's killed.
Does it affect my weapon skill as well? Because if I count as injured.
No, in it only it's only the movement characteristic.
Okay, nice.
It says
okay.
so. So fingers crossed Tom can fight his way out and get over to that Vox relay.
Nice. Let's see what happens. Okay, so initiative. You'll currently have the initiative.
I do.
Roll off again.
I think if Tom gets initiative this turn, it could really help his chances here.
Yeah, and if we draw on this dice roll, then I have the initiative.
Oh, it's a 4. It's a 6.
It's over to you.
Over to me.
He activates one of the poxwalkers near the entrance to the manufactorum and charges into a scout in front of him. Because there are 2 poxwalkers in combat with this scout, it increases the poxwalker's weapon skill by 1, meaning they're hitting on 3s. He misses with 1 hit, but re-rolls it with a command point. Danvers' scout doesn't really roll well enough to stay alive here. He takes damage, he parries a blow. But then the next damage dealt by the poxwalker is enough to finish him off. The next poxwalker that Garfield activates is right in the centre of the manufactorum in combat with a scout. This scout is really looking ropey. It doesn't take much for the shambling poxwalker to bring him down. Next up, Danvers decides to activate his heavy weapon scout, who has a heavy bolter. Because of its fusillade rule, he can split fire between the 2 poxwalkers in front of him. He puts 3 rounds into the poxwalker directly in front of him, and 2 rounds into the poxwalker to its left. The poxwalker right in front of the scout explodes into gouts of gore as the heavy bolt rounds slam into it. The other one gets off lightly. With the second action, the scout shuffles a little bit to the side. Next up, Garfield activates the poxwalker that was lurking behind the packing containers. It charges round into the scout, and a battle to the death starts. With some parrying and good blade work from the scout, both combatants end up on 4 wounds remaining. Garfield activates another poxwalker who charges the same scout. This time the roll-off doesn't go so well for Garfield. He only gets 1 attack through. This leaves the scout with 2 wounds remaining. In return, the scout takes the poxwalker down to just 1 wound. The fight continues. Next up, Danvers activates his sniper scout. He takes aim at the poxwalker just inside the manufactorum doors. He re-rolls 1 of his misses for being next to his sergeant. He gets 2 criticals and 2 normal hits. Garfield fishes for critical saves, but doesn't get any. That's 12 normal damage and 2 mortal wounds because it's a sniper rifle. Garfield rolls his disgusting resilient saves, but unfortunately, that poxwalker is eliminated. Garfield activates another poxwalker. It dashes back towards the entrance to the manufactorum, sensing its prey trying to escape. He does the same thing with another one, trying to consolidate his position. Next up, Danvers activates a brave scout at the centre of the manufactorum, who makes a dash for the exit. Garfield activates his 2 remaining Poxwalkers. They charge back towards the entrance to the manufactorum, hoping to cut off those Blood Angels. The brave neophyte in combat with the Poxwalkers decides to sell his life dearly and try and cut down one of his foes. Gets a critical hit, and Garfield fails his disgusting resilience saves, taking that Poxwalker down. Garfield has no more Poxwalkers remaining to activate, so Danvers starts activating the rest of his scouts. He shoots his last sniper scout into the Poxwalker that's next to the scout who's trying to escape. Danvers rolls 3 normal hits and 1 critical hit. Garfield fishes for critical saves but doesn't get any. 13 damage is done, but somehow Garfield rolls 9 5-up saves, keeping that Poxwalker alive. Sergeant Moro attempts to finish off the Poxwalker. He gets 2 critical hits, 2 normal hits. Garfield fishes for critical saves and gets 2 of them, amazingly. It's still 6 damage through from the Sergeant. Garfield's less lucky this time with his disgustingly resilient saves. Sergeant Moro decapitates that Poxwalker with his bolter. Danvers brings up another scout to support the one making a dash for the exit. The remaining scout doesn't have many good targets. Most of the Poxwalkers have a conceal order, so can't be seen, or are in combat. Then Danvers remembers the barrel rule. Scout takes careful aim, hits the barrel that explodes. The first Poxwalker takes 4 damage. It's enough to kill him, but unfortunately Garfield shrugs half the damage. Danvers then rolls a 6, but unfortunately Garfield shrugs 2 of those. That Poxwalker's down to 3 wounds remaining.
So that was an absolutely epic turn there. So from Tom's going from the start of the turn, going, how's he going to get down all the way down to that rhino to send the distress call, to literally being within a demon's whisker.
Yeah.
Of pipping it.
Oh, so what we've worked out, I sort of carved a path here. The thing is, though, there's a lot of Poxwalkers here within charge range of my operatives. I have one operative who, if I get the initiative, can move onto this onto the objective, onto the comms relay, kind of the beacon, and hit the Vox and warn the Blood Angels. They'll then instantly be torn apart by the billions of Poxwalkers that are swarming across this. If you imagine them coming in from the edges here.
Yeah, all these buildings at the back here are absolutely infested.
Teeming, exactly.
With Poxwalkers.
But if you get the initiative, Garfield, then you can just charge him, lock him up, and then I can't win, because then I can't fall back and do an action, because falling back costs 2 action points, and scouts only have 2 action points. So it's basically come down to the initiative roll.
Yeah, I think that turn also showed the toughness of the Poxwalkers there.
Yeah, and the deadliness of combat in Kill Team. Like you can charge in, but you still take a bunch of damage.
I think you did 11 damage with a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
I made 7 field
yeah. It's classic. I basically just shot his head off, but he's still wandering around doing his thing.
So
this is the moment.
This is it.
Interestingly, you had initiative last turn, so if we do, I
pass
win.
one of the RFW dice.
Of course I can.
Thank you, sir.
I do win ties.
Okay. Do you want to roll first?
Do I? Oh, there you go. The box. That was a 6 outside the box.
Outside the box.
Oh god. Hey,
it's a 6.
There we go.
So we'll move him in.
That's it.
And we'll do a little debrief.
Okay.
So there we have it. The Valiant Scout, the Initiate. Is that what they are in the Blood Angels?
Yeah, exactly.
He's gone through there, and he's pressed the comms relay, as you can see.
Yeah, and as he does so from
and
behind,
as he does so, all the zombies run up and tear him limb from limb. But
exactly.
He's done his Emperor's duty.
Exactly. He can die, screaming the Emperor's name, knowing that he's done Sanguinius proud.
So that gives, in the final battle, Tom initiative, which was big because we're playing some dodgy open war rules in the final game, aren't we? With, there are going to be Poxwalkers coming out of all sorts of places.
Exactly.
So,
and in a narrative game, I can do things like Deep Strike Turn 1 and all that kind of thing. So
you can. So getting the jump on the tide that's coming could be quite good.
Absolutely.
We'll come back with a debrief and how it went. There we have it.
Yeah, but geez Louise, that was down to the wire, wasn't it?
Literally, the initiative rolled off.
Yeah.
That hero scout literally moved half of the table board in 2 turns.
Leapt through the air, slapped his hand down on the box.
Just as he was dragged away.
Exactly. So we didn't play out the turning point because for this narrative game, we said that the victory condition was performing an action on that button.
As soon as the Vox relay was activated, that was it.
That's it. So I was 6 inches away. I performed a move action and then did the action for 1 EP. So that was surprisingly, close. First few turning points, I was doing a lot of damage, lots of shooting damage, and I thought maybe it would just be shooting fish in a barrel. But then it turned out like when they get in combat, they're pretty horrible, aren't they?
Yeah,
and I had to push through with some people, which meant you had a chance to sort of attack some people.
Because the scouts aren't that killy in combat.
No.
I could sort of take the hit, use my disgusting resilience to absorb it, and then deal wound back. So it worked out. In hindsight, you probably played it perfectly. Turn 1, massive damage output, and then turn 2, turn 3, slow and steady moved up.
Yeah.
Shot that big gap in the middle by the defences there, and then charged through.
No, glorious.
So hopefully that benefits you in the final battle.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. So coming up next, we'll have a few more of these missions, and then we'll do the narrative battle. But I don't think there's much else to say, is there?
No. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and then enjoy the next one too.
See you next time.
Cheers.